Hello and welcome to a special edition of Real Chalk. I'm Sam.
I'm Jamie.
I'm also Sam.
Oh,
That
that was just,
Sam,
yeah. I wanted you to go with one. You're like, I'm Ding Dong Darley.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not feeding into that.
Oh, okay. Well, we've got Ding Dong Darley here. Hat Sam to many. We're going to ask him about how he got into CrossFit, how he got into coaching and joining Chapter 2, what kind of his favourite things about CrossFit and coaching, and then maybe some quick fire random questions so to see what comes to mind at the end.
Yeah, this is our first special guest appearance.
Yeah.
Connor, can we have some clapping sounds, please?
What one is that?
Fairy tales.
Oh.
That's perfect for our first question anyway. So,
All right, we have the clock remote back this week, so I'm going to use it. All right, Darley, are you ready for the pressure? Pressure's on. Pressure starting. Now, how'd you get into coaching?
Coaching.
Actually, no. Let's start with something else. Tell us about your kind of like background in training, how you got into sports. What did you do, sports-wise, like before CrossFit?
Pre-CrossFit.
Make sure you get speak into the microphone.
Spit into the microphone.
They're really like awkwardly close levels.
Yeah, like I think same as you, rugby was kind of always my my main sport growing up. Like I played hockey and stuff because my mum.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. Oh,
that's loose enough.
it's very loose. And like especially.
I'm
with,
sorry to hear about that.
my temperament is now. Never mind when I was like 8 years old and had a hockey stick in my hand.
Good God.
Swinging it around. But my mum and my uncle were good at hockey, so they made me play.
Oh, fair play.
Played football as well, but then once I got into secondary school, it was kind of mainly rugby.
And like, did you do a lot of strength training, or what age did you kind of start that kind of stuff?
I was fairly chunky playing. Once I got into secondary school, the kind of muffin tops hit me, and by the time we kind of got into like fourth year, I was kind of like half skinny, half obese. So it was
Nate Diaz.
yeah.
Nice. I remember
fat.
you were saying, what were you, 97 kilos in fifth year or something?
Yeah, so started training properly kind of third year, going into fourth year, just to kind of get ready for senior rugby. And then I had a few injuries, and before we went on a rugby tour to the States in fifth year summer. And
The States?
Yeah.
So that was a good competition. Are they good at rugby in the States?
No. We aren't good at rugby in Wellesley either,
Oh,
so
it was
kind of
evenly balanced.
even playing field. Yeah.
What year was that in?
2017.
Sorry, like what year of school were you in, or what age? Was that senior rugby?
Yeah, so I was
Okay,
in
nice.
fifth year, end of fifth year, but I just had ankle surgery, and they thought that they were querying basically that I'd re-torn my ACL, so for the second time, so I wasn't allowed to play on the tour, so I was
You just went to America for the crack?
shoveling food into me at the same time as well, and I was like 10 kilos heavier than I am now 4 years on, so I was like 97 kilos, just under 100 kilos, and like was like sweating anytime I left the hotel. When I went to the States, I was like, okay, might need to lose a bit of weight here. But
So how did you, well, two things. Tell us about your injuries, but firstly tell us how you lost that weight.
I didn't really lose that weight that quickly. With the injuries, I was in fourth year, and we were playing a game just before Cup, and it was like not chilled because like spots were still kind of up for place.
On the
or
team?
up for taking on the team. And about 20 minutes into the game, picked up a loose ball. Someone tried to, like, it was like in a mall, and someone tried to like dump it along the ground, so we didn't get held up. And I picked it up and tried to sidestep and got hit by someone like twice my size. And this
So 180 kilos.
That's a big boy coming in right there.
You thought you were big.
yeah. And my knee just completely gave way, so I dislocated my knee. So my knee joint.
So wait, did someone
From
have to
the
put it back
side.
in then?
Yeah. So I like dislocated my knee joint, so tore my ACL, completely ruptured my ACL, completely ruptured my MCL. Had a grade 2 PCL and LCL.
Nice.
Yeah, it was nice. And then, had my knee realigned, and then had
Were you
surgery.
awake for getting your knee realigned, or?
They did it during the operation, so I was in
Okay.
like a big brace.
So
for
it
a
was
while.
out like while you were in. Could you see it was out? Was it out to the side?
Not really,
Okay.
like, because I couldn't really like diagnose it. But then, yeah, when I went in for the op, it was like,
Not in place.
Yeah,
it was
fair.
nice.
Fair.
So that was your first one.
First
I
one.
know you've had multiple knee surgeries.
Yeah.
So what happened next time around? So that you recovered from that.
Yeah. Went back, played fifth year, second half of fifth year. So got cup that stage, and we were playing a trial game And last play of the game, offloaded, and someone jumped on my back and like clamped my ankle to the ground, and it just went like I heard the like pop, and my knee went with it, so like clamped and then twisted.
So the same knee.
Same knee, yeah. So
How long? Sorry. How further on from the last time was this? How many months or years?
It was probably pretty close to just over a year. Yeah, it was, because I did it early December, in 16 when I was fourth year, and then it was early January the year after, so 13 months after.
So the recovery from the first one was probably like 9 months.
Not even. I think I came back after like 8 months because I wanted to play cup.
Okay, smart. That was typical Darley move. And you only had like 4 months or something, and then you were out
and like
again.
I was playing fun. Like I didn't have any issues with it at all. Like wasn't really, like didn't notice it. Like, and I think the big thing with injuries is kind of like if you're thinking about it loads, it's like you probably shouldn't be playing. But
of course,
I wasn't thinking about it, and especially at that stage, I was probably like 8 or 9 games in. And yeah, just ankle went, so had the ankle surgery like the day after, 2 days after, because Leinster branch set it up because it was on their time that it happened.
That's good.
And then came back and we were playing a sevens tournament.
Your injuries, this is insane.
Yeah.
The injuries and surgeries you've had.
Yeah.
We only have 20 minutes, you know.
Came back and we were playing a sevens tournament, and it literally felt like my left leg was like on like uneven ground the whole time. It was like
The same, like
Shaky.
Yeah, shaky the whole time. So went in and got the knee checked, and they were like, "Yeah, no, your ACL went when you did
the last one. So
when
you were
when
going.
you did your ankle, yeah."
And how long did you go unnoticed on an ACL?
So I'd only really played that tournament, and then was playing like I didn't get it checked straight after the tournament. I played like a piss take, 5th year v 6th year football game, and my knee just went like.
The epitome of sports.
Yeah. And then was back in for surgery. We went to the States.
So that's the second. Oh, that was after the States, or?
That we came back from the States and I had the knee surgery then.
Okay, so then you recovered from that.
Yeah.
Is
And
that the
then
last of the surgeries?
No.
Well, after all those surgeries, because we could go for surgeries with you for hours. Did you stop playing rugby then and get into CrossFit because the knee and the ankle and all were going so bad, or do you just want to change into kind of get into all of this type of fitness training, or what kind of got you started?
Yeah, I suppose like I was pretty obsessed with kind of the off-field side of playing rugby or playing sports. Like I always really enjoyed like training 5-6 days a week. If it was definitely more of a like bro split back then though.
Yeah.
Like back boys and tries and then
Nice.
it was
The essentials.
power.
Yeah.
But then kind of once I had the second knee surgery, I was playing 20s rugby, and first couple of games went fine, training was going fine. I thought pre-season went really, really well. I was really happy with it. And in our second pre-season game, my knee just like had like this, it didn't hurt, but it had like a wobble, and I was like,
Surely not.
like, do I want to go through this again? So that's kind of really when I started thinking about CrossFit. 'Cause I obviously watched the documentary. I think that's like the gateway drug for most people getting into CrossFit.
But that wobble wasn't another surgery, was it?
No,
Oh, thank
no.
God.
Well, that came after.
So you did have.
But yeah, I was like, I started training from like the push-pull legs and switched it to kind of like trying to get into a little bit of Olympic weightlifting, trying to teach myself the basics of that. Trying to learn how to kip and do toes to bar was probably the most painful thing.
I just realised the clock.
Sam's only job.
I had one
Stuart's
job.
only job was to set the clock. I didn't even. Oh, it is working.
I just realised I went from 20 to 1959 and stuck.
I know. I saw that about.
Oh, and what time were we
I
on?
saw that exactly
Apparently
5
you can pause
minutes
it,
and
yeah.
31 seconds ago because I set this. I've got my backup. Don't worry. It's always here. See, if you had a whoop, you wouldn't be able to do that. You'd just be looking at your strap.
Shit out of luck on your whoop.
Yeah, you just.
Take that whoop.
Darley, before you joined here, did you ever do a drop in any gym or anything like that?
No, so I taught myself pretty much everything.
Nice.
Up to a point. Like, still can't do some things, like split jerk.
Yeah.
That's more coordination. But yeah, I did one but my mate worked in Perpetua on the front desk. He wasn't like anything to do with CrossFit. He's like really good kind of powerlifting athlete, like benches 170. Big boy, but he just let me.
That is heavy, actually. I
Yeah.
just let that
Yeah,
go by.
yeah,
170
neither
is a
he's react-
heavy
neither
bench
he's
press.
reacted.
That's a good.
It's big.
Yeah.
big
Yeah, that's
weight,
very
like.
good bench press.
If it's more than our reps, we just let it pass by. That doesn't exist. Keep going.
Yeah.
So Dill, my mate, brought me in, and like kind of intention was just to train together and do kind of like again like a bro session, and then I kind of wanted to train like use the box because in Southside where I used to train, like they kind of all the weightlifters or powerlifters kind of look down on you if you're doing any sort of CrossFit movement.
I remember being in a gym like that and doing a kip and pull up. This was I'd been like 5th year, and we were doing like, it was the summer holidays and we were doing something like that, and I don't know what we were doing, but anyway, it's like some guys like, "Hey lads, stop that now.
Yeah.
your lats are gonna rip off." I was like, "My lats are gonna rip off." No, they're not. Your lats gonna rip off from walk around with your arms like this.
But still, if you go to any like Westwood or Riverview or something and you try to put in a CrossFit workout, even if you don't make it too mental and you're just, I don't know, just because everything's so spaced out, you go do one movement over here, then you're like doing a little jog down the gym.
Yeah,
trying
a
to do
vault
something
over the
else.
dumbbell rack
You do
into
look
the- yeah.
fully crazy. Like
You do.
if you spot the CrossFitter in any like Westwood style gym, that you just look absolutely
They're
mental.
they're so out of place there, but they're so in place somewhere like this.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so.
exactly.
So, Darry, do you remember your first CrossFit workout? Metcon kind of thing?
So-
WOD,
When I got into it, I was like programming for myself, which
with all your experience.
when you're
Yeah.
like you've seen 2 documentaries, like I said, and no, absolutely nothing. It was a lot of like strict handstand push-ups and rowing.
So you did strict handstand push-ups in your first, like,
They were kind of one of the first things I like tried to like hammer.
that's very good. So you're
But like it was like every day I was doing like strict handstand push-ups and rowing.
So
Yeah.
when did the neck surgery happen?
So yeah, it was playing 20s and
Oh, sorry, I didn't say neck surgery. I went neck surgery from all your handstand push-ups
Oh,
every day. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was joking. Please, that's about your first workout.
Sorry.
That is a good way to start, though. Like you said, the gymnastics, like similar to myself, before I started CrossFit, I didn't have access to. I was in London for a little bit. I didn't have access to a gym, and I read this book called The Naked Warrior, and it was not actually a naked lad running
Kama
around.
Sutra.
Yeah, it was all about body weight strength, basically. Like if you don't have access to a gym, all the different types of stuff you can do, like wrapping a towel around a tree and doing like kind of rope pull-ups.
Yeah.
And that's when I started doing strict handstand push-ups before I even knew anything about
Yeah.
CrossFit and that they come up. So just body weight training, and because everyone always wants to climb up the weights and that type of thing, and sometimes you can get really strong, say in a shoulder press, like throwing a weight overhead or a push jerk or something like that, but your core isn't actually strong enough because you don't have that foundation. So a lot of the time, just pulling it back to the basics, like if you can't perform a pistol or a strict handstand push-up or say 5 to 10 body weight pull-ups, that's where you really need to go back and find those foundational movements before just continuing on just trying to throw crazy weights overhead.
Yeah, my dad had this book from the 80s, like this really old book about marine training, and it was all similar stuff. It was like dips, and you had to get set up 2 chairs and build up to that one, and then eventually you could do I think it was like handstand push-up and single leg squats and all this
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, well, it's dead right. You getting into that stuff before having that foundational control of your body before you can.
And then
throw
that will
snatches
pass
around.
that'll pass
Yeah.
over to everything, because like if you can't do a strict handstand push-up, well then your core probably, like forget about the shoulder strength, just the core and the balance to stay up against the wall without falling back off. Like just being able to even do that handstand hold against the wall, like it builds such a strong core that then when you go into doing like push jerks or something like that, your stability overhead is going to be way
fair.
stronger. So
Yeah.
well done, Darley. That was a good start to your programming
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
And then I think I did the open. 19.1 I think.
Oh really?
I
My
think-
favorite.
I think I did with a 6 kilo ball and probably to a 7-foot target. And I'd say I lay on the ground for 20 minutes after, being the biggest drama queen.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, the warm up was so hard. So that was kind of your introduction to training. So how long from doing that kind of stuff how long were you doing that stuff, and then when did you decide, okay, I'm going to go join a gym, CrossFit gym?
So I had my 3rd ACL reconstruction. Yeah, Connor. I had
Insane.
I had my 3rd, and I was kind of just getting into trying to start training that way, or start to like implement CrossFit into kind of the daily training routine, and then had the third tear, and then had the third reconstruction. And I was kind of coming back from that. I was like, all right, fuck rugby.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah,
Sorry,
get into
that's
CrossFit
my
then.
bad habit.
Hell yeah.
Bleep it out, Connor. Sorry.
The more
if you're
work you
allowed
can
to
give
smoke
Connor.
weed on
yeah.
Joe Rogan's podcast, you're allowed to
Let's
say whatever
swear.
the hell you want on this podcast, okay?
True.
And how was your first, say, like, week here in training? Do you remember, like, any specific hard workout, or was it just, like, joining another gym, or, I don't know, any comments on, like, just getting involved here?
Like, I think that was kind of the running joke that I, like, hid in the corner with my hat over my eyes.
You did hide in the
Yeah,
corner
I
for
remember
a long
coming for a
time.
training session. I was like, is this guy like going to steal something? Super shady lad with his hat down the back. And I thought you had a shaved head, so I was like, is he
I
dying?
did
or
have a
something?
shaved head at the time,
What the hell, like,
Is he dying?
you look like you're.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, I came in because I remember the first day I kind of made the decision. I was like, all right, I'm getting out of here with Southside because I think they were all kind of fed up with me doing that kind of like run and jump over. Yeah, I looked like a muppet, particularly doing my own programming that had no flow or progression. Came in and met Filippo.
Yeah.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah, the Italian stallion. Yeah, just nicest guy you could meet. And I was like, all right, yeah, this place is probably.
I've heard
where
that
I
before
should
from
be.
people like members here are like, oh yeah, I like met Filippo first and then I joined the gym because Filippo's so nice.
Yeah, yeah. And that was literally it. Like, I went to another gym, which I won't name, and chatted to a few. There was like 3 of them, and they're just kind of, yeah, pricks. I was
Okay,
like,
fair.
okay, I'll try another place. Drove around the corner. I kind of already knew.
So wait, did you try here first, and then you
No,
started
I-
being a
I
traitor
tried-
to all
I-
the other gyms?
I tried the other spot just to kind of like, because the big thing was like doing like open gym training for me. I was
Yeah,
like,
of
I want
course.
to be able to actually like,
Competitor stuff. Like,
yeah, a little bit more rather than just like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to like, not that I didn't have an interest in classes, but I also wanted to have like my own training too.
Yeah.
And yeah, tried the other place because it was like literally right beside my old gym, which I've already named, so I might get myself in trouble here. But yeah, I was like, okay, worst case scenario, I'll come back to them, and came in, and I actually think it was Brendan Darley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met first, and he just like, I went to like say hi to him, and he just like no. Filippo. I call Filippo there. Brendan wanted nothing to do with me. So started chatting to Filippo, and yeah, like, again, like I said, nicest guy you'll ever meet. Came in, and Barry and Filippo were training. They were doing prepared at that stage.
Yeah.
And they kind of, Filippo started bullying me into training with him.
Nice.
And, yeah,
That's a
kind of
dangerous
where I got.
game, training
Very
Filippo.
dangerous.
Yeah.
You need
because
to.
it never
You need
ends.
12 hours of
Yeah,
commitment a
exactly.
day.
Exactly. But like we always say, I've said I would say we've mentioned it on the podcast a million times. Is like you just have to be dragged in to train with different training partners because that exposes your strengths, you get to beat them, but it also exposes your weaknesses, and that's what gives you the drive. Like
And it's just
if you're
environment.
winning every day, I don't know. It's
You
just,
can
it's
always say you can be the
fun to
hero
like-
of the gym, but that means nothing outside the 4 walls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And if someone beats you, you're like, that fucker, I'm coming back for him. And in 2 weeks' time, when those handstand push-ups come up again, I'm going to take you down, you know? So
Exactly.
I think that's for me anyway, that's a big motivator.
So,
yeah.
how did you? So you joined the gym. You're here now. You met Filippo. You're doing all the training. How was the transition from just training to becoming a coach? How did that work?
Like,
How long were you here?
not long. Like, I'd say I was here 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah, it wasn't
That's pretty
long.
good going.
Pretty impressive.
But I was so crippled. Like Filippo, like you said, mentioned there, like going from training, kind of doing my own thing.
Prepared, like Filippo was doing all of the prepared, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of volume
And-
if you do all the sections.
And Filippo wasn't letting me not do all the prepared. So
Damn straight.
So I went from like training probably an hour and a half a day, thinking I was
The bee's knees.
yeah, exactly, to like going to like 4 hours of training probably with Filippo in total, and like 2 sessions, and I was working 5-6 nights a week as well. at that
You were working in a
stage.
petrol station, was it?
No, at that stage I moved to a burger place.
He was the burger man.
Oh,
he was
burger boy.
maxing
Burger
out the
Burger boy, yeah.
burgers every day. I think
Bujo,
his record
Bujo
was like
burger.
12
Bujo burgers.
Bujos or something in one
Yeah.
day.
No wonder you're 97 kilos. You can stomach a lot of bujos.
So I was like dead, like always like a zombie in work just because of Flippo. And I think I was doing, Flippo was taking a class and I was like still full like coma after our training session with him, and you pulled me upstairs.
Yeah, well, so you joined the gym obviously to train, but you had a clear goal that you want to be a competitor. So basically there's this new guy who comes to the gym, Sam, and he's there every day. You're here like twice a day, training an hour and a half or whatever, and constantly wanting to learning off the lads. And if we gave you any tips, you'd be like implementing them and that type of thing. So one, really good athlete. Two, wanted to learn and was like open to our kind of criticisms or our technique tips, and then you're actually implementing them as well, and really good at everyone, getting on with everyone. And that's kind of the key things you want to see in a coach as well. Someone who's a good athlete, can perform everything and wants to learn, because while you're learning, when we're giving you new tips, you're able to pass them on to other people and that type of thing as well. So I think that, but then your kind of start off period was cut short because we went into lockdown. So it was very funny. We'd be running the Zoom classes, and I was saying to Darley that he had to do the way we always run it here is you have to start with an apprenticeship, kind of like at least a month, really, like 4 weeks, where you have to train with the coaches. So that's the first thing. You get kind of bullied and beaten down by the coaches because you have to handle all of our volume. Yeah, you have to handle all of our volume, but you also learn so much from that, I think, anyway. And then also you have to shadow the classes. So you're kind of like an extra hand on the class. You're helping people with technique tips. Then you're slowly taking the warm-ups, then the strength piece, and eventually the whole class. But because we were in lockdown, we were running Zoom classes. So there might be like 10 people in the Zoom class, and then Darley would just have his screen on. He'd just be sitting in the corner just watching the class. Like,
well, you made me do them for
I
the
did
first
make
while.
you do them for the first
like
while, and
hero
then
workouts.
yeah,
I'm like dying.
I know.
Like,
and then you were
proper
doing all your own training as well, obviously. So some days you'd text me, be like, "Do you mind if I
Yeah,
don't do the
leave me
workouts?"
alone.
You'd just be sitting on your couch just watching everyone.
Eating.
Yeah. And then I think during the outdoor sessions, that's when the last period of outdoor sessions, that's when you got into
yeah.
your own full coaching.
Yeah. But even before that, like my hazing was more you making me do those fucking videos.
Which videos?
You'd like text me and you'd be like, send me like 5 videos. You did
Oh,
mobility,
yeah.
and I'd be like,
I'd give you homework. I'd be
trying to
like,
find the angle.
yeah,
And
send
I'd be
me.
like, so up close
I'd be
and
like, send me
personal.
3
Like,
mobility exercises on a shoulder movement, and kind of send me a video of the progression and also some text, because like that. And it was a little project for myself too, because you're always constantly learning as a coach or an athlete. So me sending Darley off to give me like 3 knee exercises, I'd give you a lot of hip and knee stuff, because you've gone through the injuries. You're like a knee expert. So I was like, okay, cool. And he was sending me stuff that I didn't know, and then I could implement into my programming. So it's kind of like a circle. I think as coaches and athletes here, we all work together to constantly improve and then pass all of that on to our athletes as well.
I think if one of us learns something, we give it to the group.
Yeah.
So, Darley, what's your favorite thing about coaching? Because obviously now you've been coaching in person since, well, from July to November. November we didn't have anything. Did it December, and you've been active in that time. You were actively coaching all the time, PTs, and then since Zoom classes and now outdoor stuff again. So, what is your favorite thing about coaching people?
I think I've said it coming back from each lockdown. Like, I think, like, when you start feeling like I'm the best thing. Yeah, exactly. My student, my apprentice. Like coming back from each lockdown, I think the same thing kind of comes through. Like we're chatting about, like, oh, coming back to the early mornings, or it's like you're just anticipating start getting back up at 5 in the morning or whatever. But then once you start getting back into the class atmosphere and the environment of it, like. I said it, like, I think the first thing I said to you when I came back in the other day was like, you just miss the atmosphere of it.
Social
like,
aspect
yeah,
as well.
it's such a, like, you get such a, like, buzz out of it. Like, when people especially are enjoying the session, it's not like, even if it's a death session for them, which is hilarious as coaches if they're all rolling around on the floor, but maybe I'm a bit of a prick in that way, but I take quite a lot of enjoyment out of it.
We're all there as well. We all
Yeah.
end up rolling on the floor.
But yeah, mainly just the other people that, like, have whatever else going on in their day coming in, and what they bring to the class, like their own personalities, their own atmosphere. You're not just always getting slagged off by Sam and Filippo and Jamie. It's a little bit different.
No, you're good at getting slagged off. I'll hand you that. Okay, will we do a quick fire few questions, see what comes to mind. Okay. Connor, if you want to, I know you have no microphone, but if you want to chime in, feel free.
Did I nick your microphone?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I'll start with the ultimate question.
Go on.
Why hats?
My hats.
For anyone who doesn't know Darley and who's listening or watching, you'd be very hard pressed to see him without a hat on.
Yeah, they're part of like the daily outfit. In fairness.
And if you do come into the gym and he doesn't have a hat on, you normally go up to him and go, "Hi, are you a new member here? Would you like to start?"
Members have done that. They're they're tapping on the shoulder, like, "Hey, what's the oh, Sam, Jesus."
Yeah, no one has any idea what's going on when you have a hat off.
Yeah. So why hats?
I do have hair. I'll put that disclaimer out.
Do you want to show the world?
Not really.
Okay. Oh, really?
I do have hair. I don't have like a receding hairline. I'm not trying to hide like a bald patch at the back of my scalp or anything.
Well, sure. Well, I'll believe you out of word.
I think I started wearing them. We shaved our heads in 6th year for a cup final, and the teachers and the head of we were like, we were like day boarding, which is basically we do everything the boarders do but sleep there. So we go home instead of sleeping there.
So normal school.
Yeah. Well.
We day board here as well. We just don't sleep here. Yeah. We come here, we train,
board in
we
chapter
leave.
2.
So, well, we do like night study and stuff in school. Is what I mean. You
Get to the hats, Darley.
Yeah. So with the shaved head, our senior coach was also the head of house, and he was just like, "No, you're not walking
Gryffindor.
not walking around skinhead."
Are you a Hufflepuff or a Gryffindor house kind of guy? Or a Slytherin? Slytherin those DMs.
I gotta ignore that.
Proceed.
But yeah, Wally, our head of house and head coach, or one of our head coaches, was just like, "No, you need to cover up that skinhead." So I wore hats then, and then started wearing them training, and then kind of never really took them off.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a bit disgusting, but
How many hats do you own?
like including like bucket hats and interesting hats, or just
You own bucket hats?
yeah.
Say no more.
Yeah. I'd say like 10 to 15.
Ooh, nice. Good collection.
Good hat collection.
Any other quick fire questions, Jamie? Do you have any up your head?
No, I'm not.
You've got
I don't.
You always have something
Do you have a favorite cheat meal, Darley?
Pizza.
Pizza.
Safe.
Base or Domino's?
Oh yeah.
I used to be
Or-
Domino's, and then it used to make me feel like so sick.
Yeah,
after.
Domino's.
Then it made me feel 97 kilos.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
the amount of, it was more burgers that actually put me to 97 kilos. I put on like 4 when I got home from training.
4 burgers,
Yeah.
that's beefy.
And stuffed them in. Probably, what is it? Fired up.
Yeah, P. I haven't had it. It's good.
P. Yeah, go it. Yeah, it's good. That'd be my go-to.
Nice.
Sweet. I think that's a pretty solid interview from the Darlatron. So,
Ding Dong Darley.
will
Do you have any final words for your fans or lady fans?
No, nothing.
No? Oh, well, I'll say on your behalf. He's a single young man,
Yeah,
ready
actually.
to mingle. Please DM. Slither in those DMs if you want to get in touch with Darley.
I'm delete my Instagram now.
You don't need to leave a review this week. Just leave Darley a message.
Yes, please. All right.
That's real talk.
Final words, Darley?
That's it. Cheers, folks.